Hi, Crystal. That's this question. It turns out that so what happens here is if you let's see what you can see if I turn this into a pen. I'm not sure if you can see this. Let's see. That's the wrong page. Let me see where I am with the pages. Yep, that's I don't want the pen. Here we go. There we go. Okay. So when you if you were to graph these values, you would get an inverse, which would be something like that. And it makes sense because the greater the mass, and we're talking about these values here, which are really hard for me to see. So let me zoom in. The greater the mass, um, the lower the height, and the lower the mass, the greater the height. And so that's why you get this idea of an inverse. And so when you if you to take these points and you plot them here and here, I'm not talking about yours. I'm talking about what they did here and here. You get an inverse, and hard to get the slope up an inverse. So if you have the inverse, which would be mass in kilograms on this side, and then you have height in meters on this side, and you switch it. So what you do is you just take all this, and I'm going to clear that. And if you take that and you make this mass in kilograms, and you make this 1 over h, which is 1 over m, then you actually, it will turn it into a straight line. And then now the slope, which is, we could call m if you want to, but I mean, m's there. So anyway, be careful of that, is basically equal to m over h. That's the slope. That m being mass, and this m. And in this question, they actually call it slope. They don't call it m. Right. So that's the first thing, and it's why they did that. It's the tricks of linearizing. So remember, I said if it's like this, then you want to square this side, and it turns it into a straight line. If it's clear screen, come on. If it's like this, then you want to square this side, and it'll turn it into. But no, that's not what I was talking about. First time videoing this video, so forgive me. Anyways, so there's linearizing tricks. I meant like that, and then you square that side, and it will turn that into a square. Anyways, there's tricks to linearizing, and the reason you want to linearize is because it makes it easy to use slope form, the rise over run, to get the slope of something and to give you some information. Okay, so then as you look through here, where did it go? We go back to the previous. Okay, I get to the question. Okay, so you look at the answers on these. Is it right there? Right there it is. Okay, so what they're doing here is they're actually saying that on this one, that here's your equations, and this is true, but this could also be turned into k, and k is going to be equal to, if you look at it, k will be equal to 2 mgh over x squared, right? And okay, that's pretty important. This is interesting because it comes straight from the equation when we do us equals mgh, or vice versa, mgh equals us. And you can just solve for k, and that's what you get. And that's literally what they're using on the next page. So let's clear that. Let's go back to here. Let's see if I can go to the next page. I think it's this one. Yeah, so it's so confusing what they did here, but once you realize what they did, it's not that confusing. So what they did here is they're doing slope, right? And the slope here is m, and I think I might have done the slope wrong on the other page. Now I think about it, it's m over um, the slope here is meters. So no, excuse me. The slope here is meters, and so the meters was the h, I did reverse on the other page. Over 1 over m. And if you take this, what is h over 1 over m? It's mh, right? That's the slope. So the slope is mh. So this right here, it gets confusing what they did here because they just like skipped this idea that slope is mh. And then what the heck is this, right? That thing literally is what we already said. We said k equals, what I say, 2 mgh over x squared, right? And then if you look at it, x squared, right, which is this thing here, right? How is that thing right there? Because the m and the h are the slope, right? It just seemed like they made it way more confusing than they needed to. But anyways, so this m and h, that is your slope. So you take that slope, which they got to be this number, and you can substitute in for this, which is right there. Anyways, I want to do a quick thing. I left my notes at school, and so I had to do it on the computer like this for you. But I wanted to give you the answer as soon as I could. So, anyways, if that doesn't help, come to me tomorrow during Flex or whatever, and I'll show you in person. But I think the main things you need to realize is the linearizing. And then the last thing I would say is here, the reality is that k does not equal the slope. But k is, it is proportional to the slope, which is different, which is why you can't just like do the slope equals k. I see what you're trying to do before, and that was actually a good idea. You were trying to you solve for k, and then I can't remember exactly. You solve for k, and you were doing like, I'm not sure what you were doing, but something like 2mg over x squared, which this makes total sense what you were doing because you were trying to look for that slope there. But it was a little more difficult the way they answered it, and given the values that they had. So, anyways, come in tomorrow if you need more help. But I hope that helped clear it up. Hopefully, it didn't make it more muddy than it already was. Anyways, maybe see you tomorrow. Bye. Stop.